Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Father-Son Packers podcast, your source for Packers news, notes, and analysis. My name is Tommy, and I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my dad, Matt. Dad, how you doing?
Doing all right. We are closing in.
1 week away. Less than a week away. 6 days away.
NFL draft. Should you call it Draftmas?
Yes. Except it's 3 whole days.
It's 3 whole days.
It's like Draftica. Except, I don't even know. That's 7 days, I guess. So something in the middle there. But
something
anyway,
halfway between Draftmica.
Yeah, exactly. We are so close to my favorite day of the NFL calendar. Favorite days of the NFL calendar. Although, honestly, if I'm being 100% transparent, day 2 of the draft is my favorite day of the draft. The picks are a little bit quicker. You get more of them. You still have interesting play. It's not like day 3. Day 3 is fun. I love day 3, obviously.
I do like getting some gems on day 3, but it does
goes a long time.
It goes a while.
Long.
And you're like half of the day, you're like, who is this guy?
And they're not talking about half the picks either. They're like the pick and choose which picks
this
they talk
is true.
about.
At that point, I remember watching it last year when it was just me and your dog Zero watching the draft together, and they're talking along the whole time, not even discussing the picks that just happened. It's talking about totally unrelated topics. We got a pick to report. Okay,
and picks will happen.
Let's get back to the important stuff we're rambling on about.
Exactly, picks will happen during the commercial breaks, stuff like that. Although it's nothing like the famous NBA draft thing, which is Nikola Jokic was picked during a Taco Bell commercial, which is just one of the greatest little tidbits of all time. But we are
a Taco Bell commercial deal for that.
I know, right? But we are, like we said, coming up on the NFL draft, 6 days away. It's going to be in Green Bay, which is very exciting. Good stuff for the city of Green Bay. Hopefully all that goes smoothly, and hopefully the weather holds up. I don't know what the weather's actually supposed to be there, but I am excited. I am intrigued. I am looking forward to it, I would say, more than anything else. Like I said, it's my favorite time of the NFL calendar. It is a time where hope springs eternal. You can talk yourself into any pick, almost any pick. Even a pick,
or you can talk yourself out of almost any pick.
That's true, but even a pick you don't like even a pick where, I'm sure if the Packers, I hate to pick on a guy, but I really hope the Packers don't take Landon Jackson in the first round. I could see them doing it, but I really hope they don't. But even if they do, I'll talk myself into it within 24 hours.
I was watching some Landon Jackson tape just last night or the day before. It's no, he's looking good.
Not for me. Not for me. Too stiff.
Though I would say he's a better edge setter in the run.
Yeah, he's a run
pass rush.
Yeah, that's not what the Packers need, in my opinion. But anyway,
you mean setting the edge against the run is not going to fix their pass rush?
Well, no. But anyway, he's got a lot of athletic tools though. But anyway, so with 6 days to go in the draft, we are doing one of our favorite shows that we do every single year and the week leading up to the draft. And it's not necessarily always, Packers specific for this one, but we are coming to you with our hottest draft takes. So these are predictions. We're trying to be as spicy as possible. I nixed a couple of yours.
I need more Scoville units for mine.
You gave me a couple. I was like, that is mayonnaise. That is Miracle
That's as spicy as mayonnaise.
That is nothing. What was it you said? It was like a running back will be drafted before a receiver. It's like, I'm pretty sure that's minus 500 odds right now. You would have to bet $500 to win $100. That is not even cool spicy. Yeah, exactly. It's Cool Whip. But so we are here today with our spiciest draft takes, or at least as spicy as we can get. We're trying to stay at least a little bit realistic, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. There was a couple where I was like, well, we're not going to say Cam Ward doesn't go first over. Cam Ward's minus 20,000. And so if you don't know,
Abdul Carter falls to number 23 for the Packers.
Hey, I'd love to live in that. I mean, what would have to happen the day of the draft for that to happen? Gas mask.
I think for
bomb,
somebody to fall like that, they have to get arrested. It's
the only thing like that I can think of is when Laramie Tunsil had the gas mask bong video come out the day of the draft,
right?
And he fell from 7 to 16 or something like that. I don't remember. Off the top
a gas
of my head.
mask bong at this point is only going to cost you
6 picks, 7 picks, fewer.
Yeah, a lot of states it's legal.
That's true. That's a good point. But
at this point, compared to when he came out, does it have to be something worse?
Yeah,
it's something actually.
It's actually severe. This guy's been robbing banks for the last 5 months, and no one knew it was him. He's been stealing from casinos, Ocean's 11 style, for the last.
I thought you were saying the dude in the
Chiefs
mascot
guy
suit.
Yeah, the Chiefsaholic.
He's secretly
this guy's actually been Chiefsaholic for the whole last 5 years. But honestly, robbing banks to go to football games, I would love to watch a movie about that. That is cinema. I would watch that.
There's is there a script? So probability that there's a script out there already being
someone
has
to have written
being pitched
it, right?
to studios and is possibly even in the works already.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, we are here with our spiciest takes. Like we said, if you like what you hear here today, check us out on Blue Sky at Father Son Packer. We skeet out whenever there are new episodes out, content from other Packers content creators, especially with the draft coming up. Going to be a lot of stuff going on there, so that's going to be awesome. With the draft coming up, we'll be talking about we're going to essentially record right after the first round ends and start talking about who the Packers pick. We'll probably be excited, I hope. Or the Packers won't make a selection on day one. It will just be there, I guess, just sitting around doing nothing. But anyway, so we'll be doing that next week, so check that out as well. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Leave a review, leave a comment. We would really appreciate it, et cetera, et cetera. You know the drill. But before we get into these spicy takes, just a couple of things that we wanted to pitch. Or not pitch, rather. We have a couple pieces of news to discuss, is what I meant to say. A couple things roster-wise. Packers officially have brought back tight end John Fitzpatrick, who was really the tight end 3 last year, had surpassed Ben Sims on the depth chart. The only weird thing is that it took this long for them to bring him back, but he's going to be back at least in camp, and so we'll see if he makes the team. If they add any more tight ends, that's obviously going to be some more competition for that room. Another piece of Packers news. This was reported by Tom Silverstein of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. He reported that the Packers are receiving trade interest for Jair Alexander, although a trade is not considered imminent. What do you think that means?
This is, as you said it that way, I was thinking, this reminds me of that old joke from Winston Churchill. We've already established what you are. Now we're just haggling over the price.
I read it as this was put out by the Packers, and there is actually no interest. There's no one. This is only to drive, to get any kind of anything. It's
not that the price, the offer isn't good enough. It's that we've got offers. You guys better hurry up and send us yours.
Come! People are lining up to trade for Jair Alexander. Someone come give us another offer. I don't know if they're actually getting any offers. As kind of what my read into it, but the Packers are putting out there that they are, so that more teams will maybe give them a call at least.
So, what do the Packers do if they get no offer they like? Do they cut him, or do they just keep him?
I think they keep him. I think they keep him.
I think so too. I think they should.
The way they've talked about it, I think they're going to keep him. I don't know if they should. I think this is one where I'm fully split 50-50 on if it's a good idea to keep him.
He's been working out with
and he messaged Hobbs when Hobbs signed to the team. He's been working out with McKinney, so it's clearly him and the players in the locker room are still cool. I wonder about maybe him and the coaching staff. I don't know, him in the front office.
That's the question.
There seems to be a bit of a divide there.
Coaching staff.
Can you get over that? I don't know. But okay, I have a follow-up question for you.
Does he show up to camp in a white tank top, dressed up as Nick Cage from Con Air?
If he's still in the team. I was just say, what is that even? I was like, oh, it's the Aaron Rodgers bit. That would be funny. I was going to ask, if I told you he was traded, and I was just setting he's traded in this scenario, and I said before or after day 3 of the draft. And on day 3 is a push. So before or after, what would you say?
Which is more likely?
Yeah.
So by day 2 or after?
Or after day 3.
I would say after is more likely than day 2.
Okay. You don't think so? You don't think we're going to see a day of trade?
I think there could be a day 3 trade. I think it's after teams got through day 2 and didn't get a corner, then they could trade on day 3.
You know what other piece of NFL news this is kind of impacts this rather? Is that apparently Jalen Ramsey is available / they're trying to move him.
That did come out. I saw that last week.
Another vet corner that's an option for teams out there that they could trade for.
Reduce the market.
It's just there's more supply
because there's supply and demand.
Exactly.
There are more options.
Make the X with my hands. I took high school economics. I know how that works.
But the other thing that I don't know if did you hear this about the speculation around the slot corner salary is that Hobbs is a slot corner and reset the slot corner market?
I heard this, but all of that is like,
it's really tangential.
and it's predicated on the idea, or it implies that they're just giving up on Javon Bullard going into year 2, which I would, one, don't think they would do. 2, I think it's a bad idea. Why are you giving up on like a borderline top 50 pick, or like it was like 58th or something, a second round pick in his second year when he was like pretty good as a rookie? Like, he wasn't great. He had some ups and downs, but he's a rookie and he played pretty well. Like, he played fine. It's not like he was some disaster in the slot. He's not going to play safety for you because Williams was better than him at safety. McKinney's your other starting safety. Why would they bring in a guy in free agency to replace a second-year player who they like? That just doesn't make sense to me. So, I don't know. So, yeah, I saw that and I was like, but then they're just giving up on Bullard, and they shouldn't do that. I don't think they would.
Depth.
Yeah. So
backing up 2 spots.
Because I saw what they were saying. Like, it made sense where it's like, based on the amount of money he got, based on like what some of the people around the NFL are saying, like they view Hobbs as a slot. But it all kind of stops making sense to me when you think about Bullard's place in it and the fact that they don't like giving up on young players that early. So I don't know. I don't know. But we never know what's going on behind closed doors. So you never know if maybe there's just a lack of belief from Bullard in the building. Maybe he just doesn't fit the scheme as well as they thought he would. You never know. You never know.
For them to give up on a player drafted that early, you're talking Amari Rodgers, Jay Sternberger
and
level.
Those guys were drafted
failure.
later and were never as good as Bullard was as a rookie.
That's what I mean. He's nowhere near that level of disappointment.
Yeah.
And they still...
And he was drafted higher than both of them.
He's drafted higher than both of them.
So, I don't know. I don't see it, but I guess we'll see. And then the final little bit of news is we have some more players that were top 30 visits. We now know officially 25 of them. I'll read off these ones. Quarterback Taylor Elgersma. I believe that's how it's pronounced.
This one stumped me.
Yeah, from Wilfrid Laurier, which is in Canada. So they were playing Canadian rules football, which, 250-yard lines. So bigger field, kind of crazy. But he came in for a visit. Cornerback Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. Defensive end Elijah Roberts out of SMU. Wide receiver Ty Felton out of Maryland, big speed guy. Defensive lineman Walter Nolan, Ole Miss. He is projected to go in the first round, as is Trey Amos. He's like a borderline first rounder, so a couple Ole Miss borderline first round guys. Defensive end Jordan Birch, who's like a day 2 guy out of Oregon. Wide receiver Tet McMillan, who is like widely considered to be possibly the number 1 wide receiver in this class. He's favored to go number 1 by FanDuel. Brian Gutekunst was the only GM at his private workout of all the NFL GMs, so another little bit of thing there. He's out of Arizona, if I failed to mention that. And then wide receiver Torrey Horton out of Colorado State, who I think both you and I really like as a wide receiver. That's a day 2, day 3 guy. So overall, that puts us at, of the 25 known visits, 6 wide receivers, 5 edge rushers, 4 corners, 3 interior offensive linemen, 3 offensive tackles, 3 interior defensive linemen, and 1 quarterback, and a partridge in a pear tree. Any thoughts on
players? Well, and the players that have been brought in who are expected to go in the first round, is it just wide receivers and edges?
And Nolan.
Oh, and Simmons.
So a couple, an offensive lineman here. The Simmons one is like a little bit like that could be a health thing, so it's maybe more about that than it is about true interest, but at the same time, there has to be some level of interest to bring him in. And then whether or not you think of
Revel, if you think Revel,
I was going to say whether or not you think Revel's a first rounder, and then Amos is like a borderline first rounder as well to some people. So mostly edges and wide receivers because they had Golden and McMillan. So those guys are both first round receivers.
And Egbuka.
And Egbuka. Yeah, he's like a first, second. So a bunch of first round receivers, a bunch of first round edges, a couple of first round defensive linemen, a couple of first round corners, and 1 first round offensive lineman. So I'm kind of thinking, reading the tea leaves, that they're going edge or wide receiver first round, and then second round offensive line, and maybe a corner. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about? What are your, now that we kind of have the pool of visits that we're going to know about? What are your takeaways?
So it does look like first round is wide receiver or edge.
Just based on the number of visits, because we've known in the past they don't always have the guy that they're going to take in for a visit, but they almost always have the position that they're going to take. in for several visits. Like they look at a big pool of those guys.
We also probably know who a couple of their UDFAs are going to be, most likely.
Yes, I'm pretty sure Elgersma is on that list. I think he is.
Bear.
The guy out of Oklahoma State, also the tackle. Pohl out of
Poles. Though I think I've heard a little bit more people mention his.
He's more of a higher day 3 guy.
That he moving up? But maybe he may get drafted.
Okay,
I've heard a few compliments of his movement skills lately.
Well, some of the the difference between a 7th rounder and an UDFA is very minimal. And in fact, most of these guys would rather be UDFAs because they're actually going to make more money.
The difference is they don't get to choose where they go.
And they get more money now as undrafted free agents a lot of the time.
More guaranteed anyway.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But anyway, should we go into our hot takes, or do you have anything else that you wanted to touch on with those? Because it feels like we're kind of getting a little bit of information there from these visits, at least what positions they're maybe considering with that first round pick.
Right. It's often kind of what positions and sort of about where in the draft. Probably some of these players will be, even if they don't get drafted by the Packers, will come back later.
Yeah, well,
they do that a decent amount as well. Guys that they're interested in, well, they'll poach off of a practice squad or sign the first free agency.
So speaking of positions likely to be drafted by the Packers, I just want to touch on this really quick since we're already talking about it. FanDuel has odds on like what position will be taken by each team in the first round, or be taken first by each team, I guess is the position of Green Bay Packers first drafted player is a prop you can take. Defensive lineman / edge is plus 110, which is by far the favorite.
Put them both together.
Cornerback is plus 135. So actually pretty tight between defensive lineman, edge, and corner. Those are both like clearly the favorites. It's a slight edge to the edges and defensive lineman with corner right behind it. And then receiver plus 750, offensive lineman plus 950, and then the rest are like really low. Are you a little bit surprised to see receiver with such a pretty big step down from D-line and edge and corner? Do you think part of it is just the Packers have never done it? Like they've never taken
part of it that nobody expects it, and so it's not based on the visit composition. And I don't know if they're getting any other intel, so it may be just like, we're just playing the 25-year odds here.
Fair. I mean, and that's fair enough, because if I told you we were going to take a receiver and then a week from now, it's like, no shit, Sherlock. They didn't take a receiver again.
That's a as spicy as Cool Whip kind of take.
Exactly. But anyway, speaking of spicy as Cool Whip, let's start off with one of your takes. What's your first one you got for us?
Shade, as spicy as Shade. Yes. That Shade was spicier than that take.
All right, what do you got for us? What's your first take?
So I'll start with my spicier ones, which is there will be no first round trades in the draft this year,
and that would be historic. And we already are at a historic point with there have been no first-round trades yet so far, which is already historic. It's already like the latest it's ever been without a trade in the first round. And I think, the point to that is like we're already this far. We don't have to make it much further.
This close.
And there aren't any quarterbacks that anyone would probably aren't any quarterbacks that are like super.
You might have somebody taking a big risk if like Sanders or Dart falls all the way to like 30.
That's the thing is you're going to make it to like 32, and then someo's going to trade up for that fifth year option.
Then somebody will trade up because we want that extra year of rookie salary in case they hit. But basically the consensus seems to be among everybody you listen to that all the best part of the draft, the best value are in like the second.
And just it's a very flat draft in terms of value. Right. Like everything from like 7 to like 28 is like pretty close to the same.
Oh, I hear it's more like 15 to 40.
Yeah,
and that all those guys are about the same. So why would you trade two of those guys for one when you're not even sure that one guy is going to be any better than either of the other two?
Yeah, and I think obviously no trades at all in the first round is very spicy. But if you set the line at 3.5, I wouldn't be surprised if it hit the under. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there are fewer than one or two, that there's like only 2 or 3 trades in the first round.
Under 3 probably has a really good chance. 0, you're like, that's a good return on investment if you bet on that, I think, if it hits.
I mean, a lot of things are great, great returns on investment if they hit, right? Like, come on now. It's like, hey,
but yeah, it's like less. It's more likely than a comet.
Yeah. Is it? Are we sure?
Well, it depends on your time frame. If you're talking about in the next 100 million years.
Yeah. Speaking of good returns on investment,
or what size of that does that fragment have to be to qualify?
To qualify, that someone
are we talking?
Dust.
End of the Cretaceous, or are we talking Tunguska?
I'm going to pretend like I knew what that meant. Moving on to
that's the one that hit Siberia, and have you ever heard of that? Like flattened the forests in early 1900s.
No.
The Tunguska event. It gets referenced in Ghostbusters.
Okay, that's how you know. that makes a lot more sense. But anyway, on to my first hot take. Mine is that there will be more tight ends taken in the first round than wide receivers. This is kind of coming off of Daniel Jeremiah had a conference call today where, he was talking about what he's been hearing. And he mentioned that, he could see Mason Taylor, who's a tight end out of LSU, going in the back half of round 1. And I think it seems like both Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland are not, maybe, if not locks, like very, very favored to go first round, expected to go first round. And so if Taylor sneaks in as well into the back half of the first round, like Jeremiah expects, I could see a scenario where, Matthew Golden and Tet McMillan are the only guys that go at wide receiver, and then you have 3 tight ends go. And you end up in a scenario which almost never happens, where there are more tight ends going in the first round than receivers. A weaker receiver class, a strong tight end class. It's maybe not the boldest take of all time, but it doesn't happen very often. So I figured I would throw it in there.
I almost put this very same one in there.
Aha. All right. Well, so we're on the same wavelength. And I at first I had like, there will be as many wide receivers taken as tight ends, because I was like, one of Igbuka or Burden is going to end up going. But then I was like, that's not spicy enough. We'll say more. We'll say more tight ends, because I do think there will be a third receiver that sneaks into the top 32. But hey, screw it. Why not go? If you're gonna go spicy, might as well go spicy.
Yeah, because I actually does it make it less spicy? So we both have the same idea.
Oh yeah, I mean, great minds think alike, right? We're just our own little echo chamber on this podcast. It's if you hear the like same fact from one person like 3 times, it's like you remember it exactly, or like give it the same amount of credence as if you heard it from 3 different people.
Oh, the best is if
I say something and then you're like, yeah, I remember someone saying that, and it was me, before. Right. So I just get it confirmed by myself.
The same person. It's not 3 different people. You just hear it back from a person you told it to,
and you get the confirmation, but it's just you incepted the initial thought. But anyway, next hot take. What do you got?
So despite everybody talking about it being a great D tackle class, I think that more offensive tackles we picked in the first round than D tackles.
Okay, explain.
And so I was looking a little bit, and it's actually maybe this isn't actually all that spicy, because I think there's a pretty high probability of this happening, where some in the latest consensus you've got like Campbell, Membu, Banks, and Connerly going as offensive tackles to the Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, and Chiefs. All teams you'd expect to be adding more tackle depth. And then only like Jacksonville, Cincinnati, who was desperate for defensive help, but would they add a nose tackle? They just signed Slayton. And Pittsburgh adding D tackled picks. So I actually think this is one that's pretty likely to happen.
Yeah. The more you go through it, it's like there are just a lot of teams that need offensive line help too. Right. Like a lot, especially at the end of the first round, where like because the way that this happens is a couple teams reach on guys, and usually that's going to happen at the end of the round when people are like, well, we'll take that 5th year, we're not going to pick for a while, they're not going to be there when we come back, we're probably not going to trade up. Like, we really need offensive linemen, we need help right now, so we can't wait to pick them later in the draft. And so teams like Kansas City, teams like the Commanders, with Cosme being hurt, even though they traded for Tunsil, like they're still probably going to need a guy possibly, although they have other needs as well, et cetera down the line. Like, there are a lot of teams that need offensive line help.
The Patriots are desperate to protect May. The Jets have been needing offensive line help for years.
Yeah.
Dolphins don't want Tua landing on his head again.
Yeah. there was a. I mean, people are hypothesizing if they might be a quarterback team. People are sneaky quarterback team. Although I did see something where someone was talking about like people. Have you seen the rumors flying around about what if Tyreek Hill gets traded on draft day, and then they take a receiver?
I only heard something about he was expressing a desire to leave.
Yeah, although their odds to draft a wide receiver are not very good, like not very high on FanDuel. So there doesn't seem to be any Vegas knowledge floating around, at least right now. But I could definitely see more offensive linemen going. A lot of teams need offensive line right now. It's a pretty good offensive line class. I would grade this a 6 out of 10 on the spicy scale.
Oh, I thought you could be less.
I'll get 6.5.
I thought I was going to get like a 3.
6, 5.5, something like that.
Because this actually has Harmon not going in the first round in this scenario.
I think he's
being
going top
available
20
to the Packers and
them not picking him.
him.
That tracks. He's either getting picked at 22 or he's going to be available and they don't pick him. It's like the two things that could happen here. My next take is probably my spiciest. Drum roll, please. The Steelers will pick a quarterback at 21, but it won't be Shedeur Sanders, and it won't be Jackson Dart. Jalen Milroe. Come on down. The Steelers will pick Jalen Milroe at 21. Some, reasons for this. Number one, he's been invited to the draft, which means there is some interest because everyone was like, wait, Jalen Milroe's going to the draft? Like we had him as like a second, third round guy. Like why would he go? What team is interested in him? But for him to go, because, sometimes guys who are projected to go in the first round get invited and then they end up sitting around. And like they're borderline first round guys, but then they end up having to wait till day 2. But by most projections, he was not a borderline first round guy. So the only reason I can think that he would be invited to the draft is if a team is like seriously considering drafting him. So that's number one. Number 2, Arthur Smith worked with Justin Fields last year. Did the whole mobile quarterback offense, knows how to design an offense around that. So that's number 2. And they tried to bring Justin Fields back before he ended up going to the Jets. They were interested in bringing him back. Number 3, they're still in the lurch on Aaron Rodgers. And, that seems to be a bit of a, I don't know how long they're going to wait. I guess it's like, I think they're probably tired of waiting.
I mean, Rodgers was just, got in front of a mic this week.
And didn't commit
It had been too long.
Yeah.
He's like, break it out in hives.
Yeah, and then Daniel Jeremiah today, this is the last thing, said that, some teams view him as, a lottery pick and the most talented quarterback in this draft.
I have not followed him at all.
So, I haven't looked at the quarterbacks either. But that is my take, is that they're going to take Milroe. Everyone's going to be like, whoa, that's out of nowhere. And it's going to be very spicy. It's going to be very interesting.
I have then I'll go with my related but competing hot take. And that's that the Steelers trade all the way up to pick number 8, or the top 8, to get ahead of the Saints and pick Sanders.
So in your scenario, the Saints are interested in Sanders also.
Yes, the Saints are interested in Sanders, with Carr being whatever was wrong with his shoulder. Yeah, and maybe the first report was that he was not going to play this entire year,
or that it was at least possible he didn't play this year.
And that the Saints be interested, and that the Steelers are tired of waiting. For Rodgers. Well, this would basically leave Rodgers on the outside looking in.
Well, you said that, but then I was like, well, the Saints probably pick up the phone and call, right? Like if they're like, oh, we don't have anyone to take here. We're going to be kind of stuck out on a limb. Let's call Rodgers and just see what's up with him.
Yeah, because if they pick Sanders, then they're picking him to start.
Yeah,
he's not somebody who needs to sit
for a
while.
Yeah, he's not really a developmental guy, but it does seem more and more likely.
If they pick Milroe, I could see him taking a little time to develop.
Yeah, then
for a year.
Or they just have him like run the Fields offense and just kind of do wacky hybrid stuff and just like grind out like 20 to 17
Speaking of which,
games.
the Saints could go with
Taysom Hill, starting quarterback, 2025. I don't know how injured he is still though. I guess we'll see. My next one, no defensive backs outside of Travis Hunter, if you consider him a defensive back, will go before the Packers pick at number 23. That's my hot take. So that means Barron will be available. That means Will Johnson will be available. That means Emanwari will be available. Malachi Starks will be available. You just look at the teams drafting ahead of the Packers. And most of them have like big needs in the trenches, whether that's offensive line or defensive line. And it's just a stronger draft for those players. And the corners all have questions. Will Johnson, like just top end speed, injury wise, he was hurt this past year. You look at Malachi Starks, didn't test particularly well, had a bit of a down year this past year. Jahdae Barron, is he a slot only guy? Does he really have the coverage skills to play outside? All those guys have question marks around them. Emin Wari, fantastic athlete, but probably wasn't expected to go first round until the combine, which is always, a bit of a are we over indexing on athleticism? And so it could be, that entire pool of players outside of Travis Hunter is available for the Packers. And in my opinion, I still don't think they should go defensive back. But it would probably be hard for them to not. They would probably go with one if they were all available.
I don't think the numbers matter in terms of you make it. I feel like you should make it less likely that you.
It's true. One's more likely to fall even further. Huh?
One of the ones, it makes it more likely that somebody you were going to pick in the second or third round will still be there when that comes around, rather than get the top guy here.
Yeah, but that's my take, is that they're all going to fall.
A corner here. The only guy that I'd be on board with, I think, is Barron.
Just another slot. It's like a cornerback room of all slot guys. Because he might just be a slot guy. That's like the concern.
We'll just call it versatility. We have a bunch of interchangeable guys. You can go slot, outside, drop it, safety.
The thing is, the outside and safety are just pure out of nowhere projections. Like, that's the thing. Is like Hobbs, they're like, yeah, he can play outside. It's like, well, we haven't really seen him play outside full time, really, but I guess we can try. Barron's like, well, I mean, some teams don't think he can, some teams do think he can. I guess we'll see. And then Nixon did a good job, playing outside after playing slot mostly before that. But anyway, that's my take, is that all the defensive backs are going to fall in a draft that is rife with D-line and offensive line talent, and they're all going to be available there at 23. I still don't think the Packers should pick one, for what it's worth, but I think they might all be available.
I have another hot take that is in opposition to that hot take of yours,
you just hate
but is in agreement with your earlier hot take on the tight ends going versus the wide receivers. Right. And here's that more corner, and so it's not all defensive backs, just corners. More corners are picked in the first round than wide receivers.
Okay.
And that there are only two wide receivers, only Golden and McMillan in the first round, which I think has got a pretty decent chance, actually.
So for reference, and also for mine,
we're not obviously counting Hunter. It doesn't matter. Hunter is on both sides.
Yeah.
So
for you, it doesn't matter. For me, I was not counting Hunter.
Right. For you, it would matter. And I have it written somewhere. I had in some other thing about, I'm not counting Hunter because he's like his own position. But for this particular exercise, he could count in both or neither.
That's true. It doesn't really matter for you.
But I have say Barron, Johnson, Hairston, and/or Revel all going in the first, and Golden and McMillan the only wide receivers going.
Okay.
Possibly twice as many corners as wide receivers go in the first round.
And I think
the only teams picking wide receivers would be Dallas and the Chargers potentially in this scenario. Dallas, I feel like there's a very good chance that they'll pick a wide receiver, either McMillan or Golden, unless I don't know if Genty fell to them, would they be able to resist? Would Jerry Jones be able to resist calling them in the booth saying, demanding
we're taking Genty? If he falls to the Cowboys, I would be a little actually surprised if they didn't take him. It's kind of how I'm feeling about it right now.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. For me, do you have a?
That was kind of it on there. I feel like that it's quite possible that there are four corners and only two wide receivers in the first round.
I just think that there's just such a high range with where the high range. There's such a large range with where the corners go.
It's possible. It's possible we could both be right. That 3 or 4 corners go after 23. That they're all crowded at the end of the round.
I mean, it's not impossible. I'm just trying to think about what teams need defensive backs there. I mean, the Commanders do. I got to think about that more. I got to think about what that would mean to at the end of the round to have that happen. All right, my next one is, I don't even know if I believe this honestly, but Ashton Genty will fall all the way to 20.
Right.
So
This is
I
the one
don't.
where I saw this. I don't think I agree because of what we talked about before. It's like
I don't think it's going to happen.
I think Jerry Jones is going to chloroform his.
Yeah, just like he's like, I'm making the pick. Actually, I'm cutting your phone lines. I'm cutting the power to the building. I'm using my own personal cell phone, and I'm calling in the pick right now. So the reasons is it's a deep running back class, and the favorite to draft him is the Raiders, then the Bears, then the Jaguars. But the one after that's the Broncos. They're the fourth favorite team to draft him. And
How far down do you get for the Cowboys? Do you know?
Goodness, I can check that really quick. But my thought was just like, I don't think a team would trade up for a running back in this class. I just think it's too good of a running back class for a team to trade up. In order to get to the Cowboys, they are the sixth team. It goes Raiders, Bears, Jaguars, Broncos, Patriots, Cowboys.
Patriots?
Yes. So
that high up.
That must be a trade down scenario, is what they're thinking, right? Like, there's
maybe.
no way.
He's like,
maybe.
What hole in the offensive line is going to be running through?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's just going to run into a wall of humanity. They really need his pass protection, I guess, is what they're thinking. But anyway, my thought was Broncos are the fourth highest rated, highest odds team to draft him. I was going for a spicy take. I don't know if I really believe it. I don't think a team is going to trade up in this deep running back class. And I just think that there's a scenario where, hey, the Raiders have bigger needs than running back. Hey, the Bears have bigger needs than running back. The Jaguars have bigger needs than running back. All these teams have bigger needs than running back. I think at some point in the teens, the team's just going to be like, screw it. We're just going to take the best player here, and it's Genty. But the fact that none of those teams in the teens really have good odds to draft him, and the Broncos is so high, I know it's mostly because the Broncos need a running back, and teams seem to think that they would maybe trade up, but I don't think that they would. But so I said, hey, he falls to the Broncos at 20. It's a hot take. I don't even know if I believe it, but I figured I'd just throw it out there. And if I'm right, I'm right. And if I'm not, it doesn't even matter. This is my favorite kind of take.
This isn't falling out of the first round. This is just falling to 20.
Falling to 20. Yes.
You say if it's out of the first round, then that's like the hot one's wing that you don't even want to eat.
Yeah, that's
just like the one that if you eat that one first, you're done for the whole rest of the day.
And that's what would even be the point of that take? If he's not going to. He's not going to fall out of the. You never know. But he's not going to fall out of the first round. You never know. But he's not going to. But he might. But he won't. But he could. But he's not going to. What's your next one?
Okay. What shall I go for now? That the Packers don't pick an offensive player until day 3 of any
skill
kind.
Position or any kind.
Any player on offense until day 3.
That's very interesting.
No lineman. No wide receiver. It's not going to be a running back or a tight end. Anyway.
It really depends on I think what the run on offensive lineman looks like at the top of the second.
Yeah, so the way I see it is unless they trade back for extra picks, I think there's a pretty decent chance that their first 3 picks are D tackle, edge, and corner.
Which is so comedy because the defense was really good in the playoff game.
I know.
And everyone agrees they need more defensive help, even though the defense was not the problem.
And that uses up all of their day 1 and day 2 picks pretty neatly. And that's actually not that spicy for each one of those parts of the scenario. But if they went 3 rounds without getting a single player on offense, they might need to hide, and they might open up
fans. Yeah, the fans are there.
The fans are right there.
We might get some angst there.
Here's your torch. Here's your pitchfork.
Yep, they'll pass them out with the picks. Do you have any other hot takes? Because I actually wanted to just end this with some lines that I found interesting. I wanted to see what you thought.
The only other thing was kind of related, where I think that this is probably not that spicy, that the Packers don't pick an offensive lineman until the 5th round, or later.
Okay.
And there are a number of players that I think would fit the bill.
I don't think that's that spicy.
It's not that spicy. I think it's actually there's a decent chance that happens.
Yeah, especially with, they just spent so much on offensive line here in free agency to bring Banks in. They just used a first-round pick on Morgan last year.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. If they end up benching Bullard for a slot corner that they sign in free agency and then benching Jordan Morgan for a guard that they sign in free agency, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to become the Joker, as the kids say these days.
Yeah, so I think this is because they want some depth. They don't really need a starter. Somebody maybe who could develop into a starter in 2026.
I mean, it really like so in this scenario where they bench Bullard and Morgan's not starting because they signed Banks, and then they draft 2 more linemen on day 3. So Monk and Glover don't matter. It's like, all right, so hey, we got Adrian Cooper. We got a nice Adrian Cooper over here. I know we got Marshawn Lloyd, who played no snaps, Tyron Hopper, who played no snaps, Jordan Morgan, who are benching for Aaron Banks, Javon Bullard, who are benching for Nate Hobbs, Jacob Monk and Travis Glover, who were replacing with offensive linemen but we got Adrian Cooper and Evan Williams. I'm just saying.
We got 2 starters. It's a successful draft. I actually think...
I know we cut Michael Pratt. I know.
That's right. And Kalen King was...
I know Kalen King was on the practice squad
all year. Oh, I actually think the chance that they draft replacements for Monk and Glover is high.
At least they need to give competition because those guys didn't play at all this year and did not look ready to play when they did. So,
yeah, I expect them to take 2 or 3 offensive.
Although,
linemen.
If I'm Travis Glover, I'm like, guys, you took me in the 6th round. You put me a guard where I've never played before against Jalen Carter in the playoffs, cold after not playing. And like, what did you expect to happen?
This bus is awfully heavy.
It's like you're just throwing him to the wolves.
This bus that you parked on my chest is kind of heavy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, guys. Like, let's at least give this guy a chance to succeed, please. All right. Like I said, I have some interesting draft lines that I wanted to run by you as kind of the end of our spicy takes because I just thought they were interesting. Some things that jumped out to me. These are per FanDuel. Is the only place I could really find NFL draft lines. The first is that Will Campbell is the overwhelming favorite to go 4th overall at minus 240. So $240 to win $100. Abdul Carter is plus 600. I think most people are. It seems like it's a lock 1, 2, 3 that it's going to go Ward, Hunter, Carter, or Carter Hunter, but probably Hunter Carter. Membu is plus 800. Are you shocked at all that Campbell is like clearly ahead of Membu at this point? Because I'm a little surprised that Membu isn't at least like plus 200, like where it's like, yeah, Campbell's the favorite, but we could definitely see Membu going that high.
Yeah, I saw in the latest like consensus of the mock drafts from multiple sites had Campbell going to that spot to the Patriots.
Yeah, to the Patriots.
Which I'm a little surprised because it seems like just 2 weeks ago, it's like, oh, Membu's got momentum. He's rising up. Some people think he's a better.
And then there was like a 50-50 chance.
Than Campbell.
Each of them like could, yeah. Do you
so
think it's just the pro day arm length measurement where it's like, oh, he hit 33. He hit 33. He's a tackle now. We're good. We don't need to worry about it anymore.
Maybe. It's after that. After that, then it's like all the anxiety left. It's like it was just an aberrant measurement. It wasn't right.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of those.
I got to admit, when I've watched Campbell's tape,
he's very good.
He looks really good.
He's very good. That's the thing. He looks very good.
He puts guys on a milk carton.
Yeah, he's very good. That's why he was talking about. He's like, my arms have been this length the whole time, and I've been the best tackle in the SEC. I don't really see what the problem is. They didn't like get shorter. All right, the next one is first D-line edge drafted, not named Abdul Carter. Mason Graham is obviously the favorite. I think most people expect him to go. He's minus 700. So it's like he's very much expected to be the first defensive lineman after Abdul Carter. Do you know who is the second favorite, though? And this surprised me.
Yeah. So what is Jalen Walker?
It's not Jalen Walker.
No, I said, what is he? What's his position?
Oh, he's considered a linebacker. He's considered a linebacker in this. Yes, they could. For the betting purposes, they're considering him a linebacker.
I would say I don't think Grant is going that high. I would say the two most likely, if you ask me cold, Green and Stewart.
It's Stewart by a good amount. So overall, they have the odds of first defensive lineman. They have Graham at minus 700, and then Stewart at plus 1100, and then Michael Williams at plus 1400, and then Mike Green at plus 1500, and then a big gap down to Kenneth Grant.
I guess a lot of people are putting stock in the Michael Williams 2023 tape, and that he was just playing on a bad ankle last year.
I was thinking it was more Mike Green off the field concerns. He's not going to go as high as people expect.
Because I think I didn't follow enough college football during the year to know until recently that Michael Williams was going into the year was thinking like he could be a top 5.
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of prospect.
And there were like a lot of reports, and there were a lot of reports he played injured this year, like on a bad ankle.
I think he hurt it pretty early in the year.
And that he just toughed through it.
He said somewhere, somebody quoted him as like being at 60% for most of the year or something like that.
He's such a Packers pick too. Like edge setter, great run defender, not a lot of pass productivity or like polish, but hey, a lot of athleticism though and good size. But I was a little surprised to see that Stewart was the second highest. I get that he's super athletic, but you look at a lot of mock drafts, even mock drafts from people like in the know in media, and he's going down in like the 20s a lot of the time. Like he's going after guys like Kenneth Grant. He's going after guys like Derek Harmon sometimes, after guys like Ezra Rocco.
Oh, there's a stretch. I think like shortly after the combine, he like goes rocketing up to 10 or top 10.
And then that stopped like after 3 weeks.
Drifting back and back. It's like he might not even be in the first round anymore.
And now he has the second best odds to go defensive line number one after Carter.
His graph of his
it's a freaking roller coaster. So that was shocking to me, and that he was that high. And then the final one that I thought was just weird is they have odds to go top 10. So like you can just bet on whether or not a player goes top 10. You can parlay him, but whatever. Jalen Walker has better odds to go top 10 than Armand Membu, despite being not a premium position, despite the fact that Membu was widely considered at times to be the best pure tackle in the class in a draft where a lot of teams need offensive line help. I'm thinking there must be some kind of inside intel that one of the teams in the top 10 really loves Jalen Walker and they will take him no matter who else is there. And I've seen him mock to Carolina, so maybe it's them. But that was something that kind of caught my eye, is that he is like very favored to go top 10, despite also having a big range of like where he's been going in mock drafts, even amongst experts.
Yeah, and I'd seen like this CBS Sports consensus that was a composite of, a bunch of different recent mocks that has Walker going to the Panthers.
Yeah, that's a lot of they're the one that I'm thinking. It's like people know that they're going to take Walker, and so it's like
this is the question. Like, are we getting to the point now where the actual picks are being predicted? Like,
yeah, where we know
we got into like the last week of the before the draft when all of a sudden Quay Walker is being mocked to the Packers. Like, no, that's ridiculous. You got to be kidding me.
And then I mean,
it was
on the money. Or the one that was like little golf clap to that one was when Daniel Jeremiah like just full predicted that the Texans would take CJ Stroud and then trade up for Will Anderson at 3, and it was like he was like, yeah, that's what I have right now, and everyone was like,
he didn't just guess that. He didn't predict that.
It's like I was like, these teams are just really comfortable, like just telling these guys exactly what they're gonna do.
That's too specific.
Yeah, and so it's like there's stuff like that where it's like, okay, like you, someone actually told you that, which I'm surprised they told you that, but hey, good reporting. But are we at that point yet? No, I don't think yet. I think we need to get at least to Tuesday.
We're less than a week out now.
I know. I think we need to get to Tuesday.
I can't remember when those predictions came out. Like,
the Quay Walker one I remember was like the day before, like the night before was the Quay Walker one. I
think I saw either him or what's his name, Jacoby Neal from
Jacoby Dean. You mean?
Nakobe
Dean, who plays for the Eagles now. Oh goodness, was it Georgia? I think
also Georgia.
Also a Georgia guy. Yeah,
it was like, yeah, I saw Dean and Walker both being mocked to the Packers. All of a sudden, there were linebackers being mocked to the Packers in the first round that year, which didn't start until very late in the process.
Very at most 2 days before. So I don't know. There are a lot of different odds here that like are interesting as I was going through them. That Stewart seems to be expected to go high. Walker expected to go high. You look at like, what was it? There was a funny one that was like Atlanta Falcons, like first drafted player position. It's like minus 270 defensive lineman edge. It's like, okay, yeah. So they're going defensive lineman or edge like that. That's someone knows that. Someone somewhere knows that.
That's this year.
Yeah, that's this year.
At pick 15.
Yeah, and then like team to draft Shedeur Sanders. The favorite is like pretty heavily the Saints right now.
Saints.
So they're plus 145. So still plus money, but they are the favorite. And then to be some interesting ones that I saw that were like to be a first round pick. Josh Connerly's minus money, minus 160. James Pierce is minus money, minus 160. And then
to be a first round pick?
Yeah, to be a first round pick. Connerly and Pierce are both minus money, so they're both expected to be first round picks, which I think is interesting. Tyler Booker, the guard who like just kind of frankly bombed the combine, like really athletically tested poorly, minus 700 to be a first round pick. So it's like he's
really good
going to be a first round pick, like pretty much is what that's saying. I don't know. Just I think that one's a little interesting that he's like seems to be such a lock. I mean, it seems like was it that everyone's like, oh, so the Eagles are picking him is what you mean? It's like because I mean they did just lose Mekhi Becton, and you know before the combine he was projected to Tyler Booker was projected to be like a top 15 pick. So I don't know, something to keep in mind. But anyway,
so if the Raiders don't pick Genty,
who do they pick?
What's the probability that he gets past the Bears?
So I just think they need other things, but they are the second most likely team to pick him.
I mean, otherwise, I think tight end Warren going to the Bears I see a lot.
I see that too. I don't understand it because it's like Kmet is pretty good. Like, I don't think you really need a tight end. But hey, what do I know? I think he only has like a year left on this contract too, but I could be wrong. But yeah, the favorite is Raiders. It's plus 100, so it's like $100 to get $100. Bears are the second favorite. Jags are the third favorite, and that's plus 230, and then plus 270, and then a big jump to the Broncos at plus 1500. So yeah. It's not gonna fall to 20, but if he did, I would be right. Well, anyway, any last things that you wanted to talk about, or should we wrap things up? And the next time we're going to all talk to you guys is we're going to know who's a new Packer.
About the Packers' first round pick.
Or the lack of one, I guess. So
right. Whatever the Packers have done in the first round.
Yes, exactly. Or not.
It'll be a short episode if all they've done is trade out.
I think we'll postpone a day till day 2.
We might wait a day.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's the case.
Have something to talk about. But there'll still be fun things to talk about.
Of course, we thought this was going to be a short episode too.
Yeah, I told you we don't do those. But anyway, there will still be
ramble on and get names wrong for another 15 minutes if you want. Yeah, I'll go full dad mode. Maybe there'll be some dumb joke I can tell.
There will still be plenty of stuff to talk about from the draft, whether it's Packers related or not. But we will be here talking about that, talking about the Packers, probably first round pick, probably talking about the Packers first round pick, assuming they make one next week. So keep tuned to here. We'll be doing an episode every single week for the rest of the offseason. We'll be doing deep dives into every single prospect. So with, the draft coming next week, we'll be talking about that first rounder. Then we'll be doing deep dives into every single pick the Packers make, whether that's 8 that they currently have or more if they trade back or fewer if they trade up. So keep it tuned here. Check out once again on Blue Sky at Father Son Packer for updates on when those episodes come out, content from other Packers content creators, tracking top 30 visits, looking at, Packers related news, what's going to happen with Jair Alexander. Keep an eye tuned to there, and, we'll keep you updated on everything you need to know Titletown. And then, like, subscribe, whether that's Spotify, Apple, YouTube, leave a review, leave a comment, would really help us out. We'd really appreciate it. But once again, we will be talking to you next time, and we will be coming to you right after the draft. So check that out. And until next time, go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go.